Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael,
And I'm Molly.
and we are here today to talk about a record setting episode of Survivor 50 featuring our first ever 14-person tribal council. It's a big group. We had a 17-person merge, 14-person tribal council. We're just setting record after record on this season of Survivor. So there is plenty to get into today with this episode. Molly, are you ready to get into it all?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Well, we start off the episode with Tiffany telling the tribe that she is upset about Camilla's blindside at the previous night's tribal council, one of the previous night's tribal councils. But she says that she's not upset with them. She's just upset that she lost a friend and she kind of wants some time alone to deal with that. Molly, what do you think about the way that Tiffany handled this blindside? Because I feel like it's an interesting situation when you are left out of a vote, but you are still going back to camp and still on the tribe. And I feel like, everyone else who is initiated that blindside is kind of saying, how do we deal with that situation? How do we deal with the person that we just blindsided? But the person who was just blindsided is also kind of having to figure out, how do I deal with this? How do I show that I'm not too upset, not bitter, not going to be out for revenge? It's a tricky situation. What do you think about the way that she handled that?
Yeah, I mean, I think she was just acting out of emotion in that moment. Like maybe that I wouldn't have wanted to make it as big of a deal to think like, oh, no one can like I can't trust anyone now or like what they just blindsided me and took out one of my closest friends and allies here. And so like there's obviously a lot going through Tiff's head of like what's going on and who can I trust and all of that. But I think that in that moment, like she was obviously emotional with it being like Camilla and it being one of her closest allies there. So I think overall, like it's never like an easy situation to handle, but I think she could have handled it in a better way.
Yeah, I think that I actually think she did pretty well. Like I think it was the right thing to say. Like, look, I'm not mad at you guys. I'm just upset, and I get it. It's hard because it's like in an ideal world where you're playing chess or something like that. It's easy to just be like, okay, next, move on. But these are real people, and that was a real friend of hers. And at this point, they've been there for about 2 weeks or so. So, you're hungry. You're not really at your full thinking potential. And so I think it was just kind of one of those situations where she just wanted to be alone for a minute, wanted to just kind of get out her feelings, get out her anger in the confessional where she's like, I'm so mad. And that's what she wanted to say. But I think she was good to kind of hold that in. I do think that there is something to be said about like not like I don't even know how to say this, but like and I feel like most people would think that the best thing to do is to just be like, "Oh, it's fine. I'm totally good. I'm great." But I actually think that there's maybe something to be said about the fact that like her response felt more genuine.
Agreed.
And it's like it's not normal to just be like, to be like so close to somebody, they get voted out, you were completely blindsided and you're just totally fine. I almost think if she had like reacted that way, like so on that end of the spectrum, that people would have maybe like kind of thought that that was a little funny. And so there is something to be said for like having a real response that's like somewhere in that gray area that feels more natural to me.
Yeah, that is true. And also like people know each other in this cast that is like it would be surprising if Tiffany wasn't upset there.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, that's true. It's like you kind of have to be more raw in these moments.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, then in the other tribal council, coming back from that one, Aubrey had just told everyone that she was going to use her idol at the last tribal council. She had made it known that she was going to be using that idol. But once she found out that Genevieve used her shot in the dark and it was not successful, she had a change of heart where she was like, I don't think I need to use this. And she didn't. But then coming back to camp, what is she going to tell people? So she goes with a lie saying that she just forgot. She just forgot to use it. There was so much going on. So, I just slipped my mind. What do you think about this excuse from Aubrey? Would you have bought that?
No, I mean, everyone in 50 is smart here. So it's like, if you're trying to get away with not playing an idol, just be honest about it rather than say you forgot. Like, you wouldn't just forget to play the idol. Like, that's something that obviously, everyone else knows about, and you chose willingly not to do it because you thought you were safe. So I feel like she shouldn't have lied in that moment.
Like, she's played 4 seasons, all with idols. All like, it's not like if it was Jenna Lewis who said this, like, I just forgot that there was idols. I maybe would believe that because this is her first time ever playing a season with any sort of idols. But Aubrey, no. Like, girl, come on. You've been to enough tribal councils that have contained some sort of idols. You know that is and I get it. Like, what else is she gonna say? I guess but I feel like she can kind of just be honest. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look at Rizzo last season. He went through all of 49 without everyone knew he had an idol and never used it. I think the mistake was her like being so adamant about the fact that like I am going to use this idol this round. Like, if she thought there was potential that something could happen like this scenario where Genevieve uses her shot in the dark, it doesn't hit, and then maybe you don't need to use it. She knew going in that that's a possibility. So I think the mistake for her was being so like confident about the fact that she was going to use it. Like, I think she could have probably not done that or just told her allies like, yeah, if I think I need it, I'll use it. And then that way you can come back to camp and be like, I didn't think I needed to.
Yeah, no, because then she really just didn't stick to her word at that point. So
Yeah,
then it's like, can people trust that she will use it? If she's saying that, like, they just need to know, like, firmly, like, if she wasn't planning to use it, then tell them that. But if she said she was, then, like, why didn't you?
exactly. Well, the next morning, Dee and Coach and Jonathan all get into this three-way argument where Coach and Jonathan are confronting Dee about lying to them. Coach specifically, with Dee telling people that Coach can't be trusted. Jonathan specifically, really about the Charlie vote and him being blindsided with that. And there's this like whole thing about like this like you lied on Survivor, and I have a very hard time watching this argument where I'm like, yeah, that's the game. What are you two, what show did you think you went on?
I know. That was crazy. I was watching it at a watch party in Austin, and everyone's reactions was just like, ugh, like, what, coach? Like, what do you mean? Like, this is Survivor. Like, this isn't where everyone just gets along and plays all day. Like, this is, you're backstabbing people.
Yeah, and like, look, D, I think probably playing a little messier than she did on 45, playing a little bit, in a danger, putting herself in a little bit of a dangerous situation, telling some people too many things, but it's just like I don't know, this argument really like made me upset because it's like this smug look on Jonathan and Coach's faces, like, we got you in this lie. And it's like, okay, she lied. Like, don't
Yeah.
then lie to her. Like, don't trust her. Don't put her in your lines. Fine, but it's this whole like holier than thou. Like, we are better people because we aren't lying in this game, and you did, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, that's the vibe that it felt like for me. And even on like 48 with the Honor and Integrity Alliance with Joe and Eva and all of them, yes, it was frustrating because it was a group of people who like all wanted to play this way, the Survivor. But I never feel like I got the sense that they were shaming other people who weren't playing that way. And that's why, like, yes, I was frustrated by it, but this like makes like I have a visceral reaction to this that I didn't have then. And I don't know, do you feel like there's a difference there?
Yeah, it definitely feels like coach thinks like one way is right and the other way is wrong versus like I didn't get that vibe in 48. Like it was more just like let's play this way together and like trust each other. But this time it's like, oh, you're lying, like that's not allowed. Like that doesn't make sense in this game especially, but like why are you bringing it up and like making it such a big deal?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's just like this condescending way that they're talking to D and just talking like about this whole topic in general that just it really rubs me the wrong way. And like, look, we've seen Coach. What is this? His fourth season? Like, this isn't new, but like, it just feels like now he's found his like people and like Jonathan and Joe and Colby when he was there, and like I think that it's just Coach by himself to me was more palatable, more entertaining when like he was the one person who was playing this way. But now that like he's found other people like who he can like have this whole group of honor and integrity, it's like, oh God, give me a break. Like, what are we doing here?
I know. It's like he found the group and now it's like you have to be part of that group otherwise you're not playing right.
Yeah. Well, Coach then like has a speech in front of the entire tribe, I think, or a lot of people at least, where he was like, "Nobody will win Survivor 50 unless they have honor, and if you are lying in season 50, you are going home." And like people kind of, there's certain people definitely like Emily Flippin in particular feels like you're like, what are you talking about? Like and that's why I'm glad at least we do have people like Emily, Devins, Christian who are like that's not how the game that they're playing. Like and so at least we have them to kind of like speak for the audience, speak for us who are like what like please stop this right now. And then coach just kind of like I don't know if is he losing it because he just starts making up haikus to himself in the hammock and he is like laughing at his own jokes and he's like maybe he's talking to the cameraman. I don't know if like I feel like the cameramen are not supposed to like react in that way to him, but like he's just kind of having a moment. What did you think of
Yeah. I know. I feel like he's just like needs to talk to himself to like process things, I guess. And then that's when he was just like, let's just create a haiku and speak to cameras about this. But I don't know. It really wasn't anyone really around there. I mean, people did hear him, but like it wasn't that he was purposefully speaking to anyone.
Yeah, he, I think, just is finding ways, I guess, to entertain himself.
Yeah.
And we're only like halfway through the season.
I
Like,
know. Is he gonna go crazy?
yeah, like where are we going from here?
Or is he just trying to give us some good entertaining TV? I don't know.
I think he really does think that this is what we want from him. Like
Yeah.
because he says in this episode, I think it's later on, but he's like, "You've won. This is the coach that you wanted this season, and now I'm going to give it to you." And I think there's a certain amount of truth to that. That I do think like he like knows that this is why he was cast on this season because this is like people like the Dragon Slayer, the like whole character of Coach. I just think that it like I mean I said it before. I think it's like when it's him by himself, it's entertaining. I think once he like kind of has people who are like validating that character as being right, like actually correct way to play, then it's like I think that it really like fills his head with like just this ego of like oh, maybe like this is a character that like I'm playing, but then that character becomes him. And it's like this weird thing where I think now we've gotten to a place in the season where he's like, "Oh no, this is right. Like this is the way that this game should be played and if you are not aligning with that, you don't deserve to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to hear what he says when he leaves, what his exit interview has to share.
I hope it's an exit interview and not a winner interview.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all I'm
true.
going to
And you
say.
thought beginning of the season that he was gonna win.
I did. He was my winner pick, and I stand by it actually, and not that I think he's going to win, but I stand by it that I think people now I think people are starting. He's starting to get on their last nerves, but it took until this point I think to where people were just so entertained watching him.
Yeah.
And now I think that it's like affecting the actual gameplay of the season. And it's not just him being his like coach silly self that's just like a character to watch and be entertained by. It's like now that is coach is actually like trying to like play king on this season and decide where all the votes are going to go and like you have to stay in line. And now I think people are saying okay, like we've gone too far with coach, like we got to either rein him in or he's got to go.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, we will. Well, Ozzy and Rizzo then return from exile, and Coach invites Rizzo to join the Four Horsemen Alliance to replace Colby. Now, Rizzo accepts this, of course, but he knows, like, he's replacing someone. He's only now good enough to be a part of this because someone left. And that's never a good position to be in an alliance because you're the bottom of the totem pole. You were the last one in, first one out. So, what did you think about Coach doing this? Like, just adding him in this late, knowing that he's replacing somebody? And then also how Rizzo handled that.
Yeah, I mean, him really just saying, "Oh, like because Colby is gone, like now you're gonna be part of this." Like literally was so explicit of being like, "Yeah, Rizzo knows he's the last one in, and not really gonna be part of that foursome, or like as much as he thinks that like or that coach wants to think Rizzo thinks he is, even though Rizzo now knows like he obviously is not gonna trust them, but or be as loyal to them. He's gonna say yes because obviously you're not going to turn down an alliance, and it was a good move on his part just to be like, yeah, like of course, like because then coach will think Rizzo's betraying him, hopefully, if that it came to that. But yeah, so I think Rizzo was just in a good spot here, I would say, just because like it's good to get asked to be in an alliance even if you don't want to be in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Rizzo should feel like he's in a good position because now, as long as he can play this kind of middle ground here, because if Coach and all them, if Rizzo ends up at some point, like he is obviously his loyalties are to Ozzy and Suri with
Yeah,
the Suri's Wizard of Oz alliance. She coined it,
yeah,
or is he the one that was that actually told us that name? I think Rizzo was the one in his confessional that said that, but so I love that name. That's
I
so
know, it's
clever
so
and cute.
good.
But if at some point like those two alliances have to like go to war with each other, that's going to put Rizzo in a really tricky position. So
Yeah,
I hope for his sake that he's able to kind of hold that for as long as possible from happening and get to a point where they can just pick off everyone else first. And then Rizzo can, hopefully go with his Ozzy and Suri alliance and strike against the Four Horsemen and then keep that to where he doesn't end up getting screwed over because the honor and integrity people are like, you lied to us and you have to go first of all those, before Suri and Ozzy. That can put him in a bad position. So I hope that can not be for a long time.
yeah. Oh, definitely. That could be tricky, but I'm hoping he doesn't have to do that.
I hope so too. Well, then Emily tells Rizzo that she knows about his idol. How did she find out that information? She heard it from D. And this tells Rizzo what he needs to know, that D cannot keep a secret. And He is now perfectly fine with getting her out, but he does go to Dee and he confronts her and says, "Hey, Emily told me that she knows and she heard it from you, and this really hurts Dee a lot." And Dee was talking this week in interviews about the fact that, like, she doesn't care now in real life. Like, she and Emily are fine, but she cried and she was really hurt in that moment in the game. And because Emily, of course, they both played on 45 together. They're very close in real life and have been for the last 2 years since they played. So this really hurt her, and Emily knows she messed, and Dee knows she messed up because she also told Tiffany and Jonathan about this information. So now she has to go to Tiffany and be like, "Hey, I didn't just tell you about this. I also told Emily, and now Rizzo knows too." And it's the whole thing. So yeah, it's a messy situation that Dee put herself in, but God, Emily Flippin can't hold water.
No, literally everything you tell Emily is not going to stay in. It's just going to go right back out.
Yeah, no, but what did you think about Rizzo? Because I thought this was interesting, the fact that Rizzo actually like confronted Dee about this. Because I feel like he
Yeah.
easily could have just been like, "Okay, I now know that I can't trust Dee as much as I thought I could, but she doesn't need to know that I know that." And that's how kind of I thought he was going to play that. But then he actually just went and confronted her.
I know. I was surprised by that too, but I mean, it makes sense. So if like they were to want to work together again, like at least like Rizzo had confronted her about it and say like, yeah, like I know you shared this information, and then see what Dee had to come back with, and maybe that could build some more trust between them. But I think at this point, like also Rizzo was more just like, oh, like I know what you said, and like wanting to talk about it and see overall like if she had an opinion or like why it happened. But I think it's just like, yeah, in this game it feels like everyone's talking at this point. It's like it's crazy that like every part of information that people are sharing, like it feels like it's getting out right away.
Yeah, I mean, we had that montage. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago, where like
Yeah.
everyone was just telling everybody everything, and on that beach when there were 17 people there, and it was like chaos. And it's still, I mean, we still have 14 people, so there's still so many people, and they all know different pieces of information, and I think it's hard to keep track of who knows what and who doesn't know what. And I think it's really easy for people to just accidentally let something slip because they think that this person already knows the information. And so then they
Yeah.
tell them something that they actually didn't know. Then that person runs to their alliance and informs them about it. And then that person has another side alliance that then they tell. And it's just like nothing can keep a secret, but especially when Emily Flippin's on that tribe, nothing is going to stay a secret.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, then we get to the journey. Stephanie is randomly selected to go here, and okay, which this was interesting to me to hold on for a second because we learned in exit interviews last week, did we not, that Camilla and Stephanie swapped
Yeah.
their shot in the darks? How did
Yes.
Stephanie have hers?
No, that's what I was wondering too. Like, did she just get it back?
I don't know. That
Yeah,
was
I was
weird.
so confused when she said that too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because when they were just like putting them all in, I was like, okay, maybe like they'll know that whatever the one that says Camilla is Stephanie. But then, like, I guess maybe it's possible that did we actually see the die? Did it say Stephanie's name on it?
I don't know if it had her name on. Do they have their names on each of their die?
I have to assume they do, or how would they have known when they put all the dies in who's
Um,
got picked?
yeah, I
So I
guess
assume
that's
they
true.
do.
I don't know.
But
We need to dig into this or hear more
yeah,
exit press about what happened with this the Shaun the Dark.
yeah, that was weird. Or,
Yeah.
or maybe I don't know. Who knows? But Stephanie's picked regardless,
Yeah.
and she's going alone. She's the only person going on this journey. She then gets there and discovers that she has to do the famous individual endurance challenge where you put your arm up and you hold it there for as long as possible with a bucket of water above you, and if your arm goes down enough, the bucket falls and you are eliminated. Now, normally this is a challenge that, 9, 10, 11 people compete in. but it's all by herself, and all she has to do is make it there for an hour. And if she does make it there for an hour, then she gets an advantage, and she is successful at this. We see, of course, the famous scene from season 20, A Hero's Villains, the first challenge from that season, the first reward challenge, day one, where she pops her shoulder out of place, and so she has to do this with her left hand and not her the right shoulder won't be able to do that. So that was a nice little fun callback, not for her, but
Yeah.
very an iconic scene in the
Yeah.
show. But she is successful even on her left side, and she wins a steal a vote. But what did you think of this journey? Because this is different than most journeys that we see, where there's two or three people there and they're competing against each other. Someone loses their vote, someone wins something, whatever. But this was just an individual thing, and it was a challenge, an endurance challenge, which is different than we've seen before with these journeys.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I feel like also with it being Stephanie there, like we knew she was gonna get it, but I feel like there might be ones that are like are harder ones that maybe people wouldn't actually get. So maybe I wish it was like maybe a little bit harder of a challenge. Like it didn't seem like it was challenging to Stephanie, which I mean I guess that's fine. Like she didn't choose, she just got randomly chosen to go. And then she was also like, oh, like I don't want to be in pain. So it actually was hard for her, even though like watching it, I guess it didn't seem as hard. But I think it just like I wish there was some more like layer to the actual challenge that she had to do versus just like the endurance part.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that journeys are most fun when there's a choice to be made, that
Yeah.
the players have to choose between whether do you want to do this or do this, or do you want to, risk your, I hate the risk a vote, but like risk something, risk a vote, whatever it is, or do you want to play it safe? Like I think there's certain, it's more fun when there's something that they have to do that it based on their own choice and their own no, thinking of whether they think they're in a good position in the game and they're able to risk it, or if they are too afraid and they need their vote and they don't want to play gamble their safety like that.
Hmm.
I think that's more fun than what we watch. Like, it's not that fun to just watch one person hold their arm over their head for that long. Like, I got bored, to be honest with you. But I think I love that challenge when there's more than more people to watch, and
Yeah.
that's exciting. But watching just one person do it, especially it being Stephanie, I really didn't care. But I did. I do think that it's probably like there are people who wouldn't have been able to do that for an hour. I do think that if somebody else had gone, that they may not have done it. It was not. It didn't seem that difficult for Stephanie in particular, and
Yeah.
so I kind of figured she was going to do it. But I think that there's probably people who wouldn't have. So I don't think it's a terrible challenge. I agree with you. I wish there was more to it.
Yeah. Agreed.
But back at camp, Stephanie has to decide what she's going to tell people about the journey. And she decides to make up a little white lie that that if you lasted 30 minutes in the challenge, then you just get to keep your vote, but you don't get anything, but you don't lose anything. And if you go for an hour, then you get an advantage. That part's true, of course. But she tells people that she just got to that 30-minute mark and she didn't get to win anything, but she does have her vote. What did you think of this story that she gave?
I mean, I think if it were anyone else and like you said you only had to make it to an hour and you didn't and like she's obviously a strong competitor and I don't think people would really buy that from her, but I think if other people were to share that, like maybe they would believe it, but the 30 minutes and then getting your vote back, like I think it makes sense for her to bring that up, but it also then Suri just like immediately just saw right through it and called her out, which was funny for her to bring that up. She's like, no, like Stephanie is very fit. Like she's not gonna not be able to do an hour of holding her hand over her head. Like it's just not that difficult. But I think so. I think for that reason, like maybe she should have said like 2 hours. Unless like I guess it may be more people can kind of gather the time that she's gone. So maybe that's also maybe why
Mhm.
of like she couldn't extend the time frame that she had to hold her arm over her head because like she actually wasn't gone for 2 hours. I don't know exactly how that works, but I think with that, it made sense to bring it up in that way, but it didn't really land for people.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that well, anyone who watched Snake in the Grass a few years ago, which had Stephanie Sari, Janelle from Big Brother, and Rachel Riley,
Mhm.
uh, knows that Stephanie's not a good liar. Because
Yeah.
she was, for anyone who doesn't watch, it's basically like The Traders or The Mole, but it's all
Oh,
in one episode. So it's just like the four of them like went out on an island for a day and they had to figure out who the traitor was, something like that,
oh,
like
that's
who's
fun.
sabotaging them. And it was Stephanie. And Stephanie, everyone, but especially Suri, just like immediately knew it was Stephanie. Like Stephanie couldn't lie; she was not the best at that role. And so I think Suri, of all people, if anyone's going to know immediately that Stephanie's lying, it's going to be Suri. They go way back, and so it's not surprising that Suri immediately clocked that. But yeah, in terms of the story that Stephanie told, I think it would have been better, honestly, for her to just say that she lost her vote, that she like was couldn't make it an hour, that at like the 45-minute mark, 50-minute mark, something, she lost it. Because I think that to me is more believable than like, okay, I made it 30 minutes and I voluntarily kind of like just I knew I couldn't do it anymore and I dropped. I just think she's too
Yeah.
competitive for that. So I think it's more believable to say that like I didn't even move my arm. I don't know what happened. Like, I really thought I had it. And then, right at the 5 minutes left, it dropped and I don't have my vote. And then you tell your close allies, yeah, I still have my vote. Like I think and I have this advantage. I think that's probably the move because then that also makes the other alliance, like the people who you're not voting with and you don't trust, potentially like think that they can be more confident in having numbers than they actually are if they're trying to make a move against you. And then, ta-da, surprise! Actually, we have two votes that you didn't think we had. And so I think that they probably could have used that to their advantage. But I think
Mhm.
to Stephanie, it's like, I want to make this lie like the least amount of lie as possible, I guess. So I guess I understand it, but I think that probably that would have been a better move.
Yeah. No, that's good. I feel like take notes for anyone going on Survivor. Just lie
It's
about
a
that.
hard thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing. I feel like nobody's ever going to believe you
No.
unless you basically say something like unless she was completely honest.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's gonna believe her or they know that she's hiding something. Like, because
Yeah.
I think you just kind of have to like assume the worst. Like, assume that the person who went there has the worst, the biggest advantage that you could think of, and anything less than that, they're going to question. So it's kind of a
Mhm.
lose lose situation, no matter what.
Yeah, the journeys are tough.
Well, then we get to the challenge, and the tribe is first split up into two teams that will compete for reward. Then the winning team are the only ones that get to compete against each other for individual immunity. So the blue team, consisting of Ozzy, Emily, Dee, Devin, Stephanie, Joe, and Christian, win reward. They win Chinese takeout. And then in the next round, they're all competing against each other. I thought it was funny because it was kind of the same thing that Stephanie just did. She had to do again. It was just like
Yeah.
holding her arm up. And I was like, girl, you only told them you went 30 minutes. Like, you better last a little while in this, or they're going to get suspicious that you may have lasted longer than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but she does not win this. Ozzy ends up winning immunity here. What did you think of just kind of this whole setup of the two-part challenge?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I liked seeing that. Like, I feel like it kind of obviously there's a lot of people here, so it's like it's hard to keep all the same people in the final like immunity part of it. So I think that makes sense to like have it be a smaller group of people who could win, or also for the reward too, and then to win the immunity. So I think I like the format of it.
I do too. I think it's so much better than what they were doing in the early 40s, where they just did the first part of this basically, and then half the tribe was immune in the first merge vote. And then it was like they really limits your options of who you can vote for, and it really kind of screws some people over. So I really like this because it ends up being just a normal one person is immune and everyone else is vulnerable and tribal. So I have no issues with this whatsoever, and I was glad to see Ozzy win immunity. I mean, he it's been a long time since he's won individual immunity, and Ozzy this season's really impressing me. So I'm glad that we didn't have to worry about losing him here.
Yeah, I agree. I was glad to see him win as well.
Well, then back at camp, Aubrey tells everyone that she is going to be using her idol this vote. Now, this is deja vu. We've heard this
She
before.
needs to.
But she is adamant that this time she's doing it. She's not going to forget. Set herself a reminder to do it. So the consensus vote, because they are all assuming that Aubrey's going to use her idol, she's safe. So she kind of like she was part of the consideration to be voted for. It seemed like if she did not have this idol, or they didn't think she was actually going to play it, but because she is, the consensus seems to be for D, that a lot of people want Dee out. She's the last winner, of course. She just got into that argument with Coach and Jonathan, and so people were kind of catching her in lies. Rizzo, of course, knows that she told people about his idols. So it seemed like there's a lot of pieces in motion for D to be the one going out here. But the real chaos comes when who's going to be the second vote, the backup, who's the split going to be on, because they feel like they do need to do a split in case D uses her shot in the dark and it hits. They don't want her to be then the sole vote, or her allies to be the sole votes to decide who goes home this week. So Coach decides that they are going to do 7 votes on D and 4 on Tiffany. Tiffany's going to be that backup, and they are having a hard time though getting people to vote for Tiffany, because it's a situation of like nobody wants to be one of the people to vote for the person who's coming back to camp. So
Yeah.
how do you think, like, what do you think of this, the fact that people are so hesitant to do that, and like how do you convince people to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because for the split vote where you don't want to really vote for the other person, like I don't know how you convince them. Maybe it's more just like, okay, it's for the game. Like you don't know if she's actually coming back because maybe Dee's gonna use the shot in the dark and it's gonna work, and so then it actually would be a good move if you did vote for the other person. But then it's like a weird like oh like but now they're gonna know that I voted for them if they are coming back. So it is tricky. It was funny to see that like deliberation. I feel like we haven't really heard that before, of people being like oh we can't vote for I don't want to vote for Tiffany. Like I was just told I had to vote for Tiffany, but I want to vote for D. Like it was like okay, like what's going on? Like just maybe all vote for D. Like I don't know. Like you can't, if you can't come to that consensus, like what's gonna happen? I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't recall a time where we've like seen this chaos in terms of like nobody wanting to be on the split vote. Like
Yeah.
because we see split votes fairly regularly on Survivor, and I just feel like people normally are like, okay, yeah, I'll vote for this person, you vote for that person. Like it doesn't seem to be a big to do like this, but I understand it. I think you just kind of have to like, I don't know. It's hard because I feel like if I was told by somebody that this is who you're voting for and you're going to vote for the person who's not going home, I might in the back of my head think like, why do you feel comfortable like telling me to do that? Like why am I having to do this while you get to vote for that person and all these other people do? Like, am I less important in this alliance? Am I towards the bottom? Like that you just feel like I don't have a say in this, that I'm just gonna do whatever you tell me to do. And that would make me feel a little type of way. I think what you have to do is like make people think it's their idea. And you just have to have it be a conversation. And you can go into that conversation knowing that your goal is to have this person vote for Tiffany. But you kind of have to like have that conversation and be like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Like, let me know your thoughts. Like, oh, maybe we should have four people vote for different. Like, would you be okay with doing that? Like, I think it's like you have to almost make it feel like you are coming up with this idea as you're talking to the person. And that way they feel like they're being included in the decision, that their voice matters, and they're not just being told to do this and like you are the king and you get to decide whatever everyone does.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel like because it was just like you're voting for this person, you're voting for this person, like no one had to say of who they wanted to vote for, and so that made it more like, well, this person's not going home. I'm not going to vote for them, but like it became more of a deal because of that, and not being asked to do what you think is right, and then that person gets to choose, but it wasn't that way.
And it just feels like such a rookie move by coach to make this mistake. It feels like this is like a very like big brother HOH-itis. Where a person just like is drunk with power and is just telling everybody what to do, and then all everyone else gets really sick of them by the end of the week, and then next week they're out because people are like, we can't play with this person. This person is like so rigid and they're so hard to work with. And I feel like that might be coming for coach, that people are going to get really annoyed by having to deal with this, and that the first chance that they get an opportunity where they feel like they have the numbers to do it, they might get them out. So we will see.
Yeah.
But then Christian tells Coach that he knows about the 7-4 split, and this pisses Coach off because Coach considers Christian to be a middle player, and the middle players were the ones that they were not telling about this split. And so Coach is on a rampage to find out who told Christian, and he wants to know who the leak is. And this is really actually where people are starting to be like, why is this so important? Like, okay, Christian knows, let him in on the vote. And coach is like, no, Christian is the most dangerous person in this game besides D. Like, we cannot have him be a part of this. And it's like, he already is. Like, okay, we'll deal with that later. Like, why is this so urgent to know right now who told Christian? Like, this isn't changing the vote at all. We'll just have an extra number. Isn't that a good thing? Like, what are we doing?
I know. That was crazy to see that happening. It's like, okay, then just include him. Don't just make it a huge deal that he can't be included, because then that's going to sway the target to you.
Yeah, exactly. It was too big of a deal, too big of a reaction for what was actually happening. And it just felt like this again was an example of coach just kind of like just overplaying his power, his position of power in this week, in this day. And it's like everything has to be meticulously go exactly the way coach wants it to, with the exact people knowing the exact pieces of information. And if anything goes slightly out of line, he is going to throw a fit. And I just don't think that's how you gotta be more malleable than that on
Yeah.
Survivor. Like, things are going to go haywire. You're on a small beach. People are gonna find things out. Someone's gonna tell someone something, and you have to just like kind of take that information in and like be like, okay, I'm going to be more careful. I'm going to watch and see who's talking to who, and I'm going to try to figure this out, like, because it is important, but you can't let everybody know how important that is to you, because then it just nobody wants to play with a person like that. So I think it's just another tally on the I don't think coach is long for this season. So well, then we go to
Yeah.
tribal, and D starts. It becomes a live tribal. D is standing up. She's whispering to people. She's telling people that she has the votes to get coach out. What did you think of this play by D to try to shake things up at Tribal? It's the first live Tribal really that we've seen this season on 50.
Yeah, I mean, I think it made sense for, especially coming from D when she knew she was the target this week. And I think that obviously people were starting to have doubts against or with coach, and like I think that with all those things we were talking about and what happened in this episode, that it just like maybe people were gonna try to change their mind on coach and want to get him out. And I think the live tribal just like adds to that excitement there of like, oh, maybe people will change their minds. But I think it was a little bit too late for this scenario here.
Yeah, I think that telling people I have the votes, it's just not going to work because eh, unless you tell people I have this person, like unless you like name the people and like you have some sort of evidence like that, yes, you have the votes. I just don't think I would believe somebody at the last minute doing that. Like it feels like you're trying to trick me into doing this and with not having the votes, or like you hope that enough people who you tell that you have the votes will just believe you. But it was worth a shot. Look, what else is D gonna do here? Like, might as
Yeah.
well cause some chaos and maybe something forms into something. It would have been better, I think, rather than like doing it this way to like pull people aside, maybe like and have actual conversations with them rather than just like quickly whispering and like while they're still sitting down and just going from person to person because you don't have the opportunity to really like talk to them. Whereas I think if she had maybe like pulled some people aside and been like, okay, you talk to this person, I'm going to talk to this person, like maybe we can make something work. I think that may have worked better, but I still think it probably would have all been for naught.
Yeah, I agree.
But she does play her shot in the dark. It does not hit, and D is voted out in an 8-4-1 vote. I was really sad to see D leave here. I mean, I love D. I think that she was playing seemingly a really, really good game this season and in a pretty good position for a while. And then it just kind of all came crashing down in the last couple of weeks. But I love to see her play. I'm so glad she came back here for this season. And I'm glad she made it to jury. So we'll at least be seeing her at tribal council for the rest of the season here.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like I had a slight hope that I could have switched over to vote out coach, but I think it was just at this episode for this particular tribal that it just wasn't gonna be able to work that way, and that it was gonna be D here. But I'm glad that we got to see her for as long as we did, and I'm excited to see her on the jury now.
Yeah, it felt like this episode was to me. As we went into tribal, I was like, I feel like it's going to be D because it seemed like
Yeah,
the chaos that was being caused was not who was going to be voted out, but it was just like who was going to be voting for the person who's not going out. And
yeah,
so until the very very end where like there was kind of this hope like of people turning on coach, but it didn't feel like enough momentum had gotten going
yeah.
and I did not think it was going to be coach going home here. I really figured it was going to be D, but I think she did everything she could do. And I hope that she doesn't have too many regrets here because I don't think there was much that she could have done.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we get the preview for next week's episode, and it seems like the players are going to be split into pairs and competing as pairs, being voted off as pairs potentially. I don't know what's going on here, but what do you think? What do you think is going on?
Yeah, no, this was crazy to see. I don't know. It's crazy because I mean, there's 13 people left, so I guess it is still a lot of people in a merge scenario here that they're probably just trying to get off some more people that they can like in the pair maybe like if that's how they're gonna vote, like you have to vote for the pairs and not just like an individual, which is an interesting or circumstance of like how is that going to work, and then also with the challenges and stuff like that, like they'll have to compete as pairs, like I don't know what, like they have to do the whole week just as the pair, which will be interesting. So and also how do they choose, is it random or like what's going on for how the
Mhm.
pairs are chosen. Also, it's all going to be interesting to see.
I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. I just really hope that it doesn't screw anyone over who's like been playing a really good game up until this point, and just because they're tied to somebody who is not playing as good of a game and is the target to go home, and then just someone happens to be collateral damage because of that. I'm not going to be very happy, and I don't think most of the Survivor community will be either. So it will be a an interesting week if something like that does end up happening.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I'm scared
Hmm.
too, though.
Yes, we will. Well, thank you guys so much for listening or watching on YouTube. We will be back next week. Whatever happens, we will be here to talk
Yes.
about it, whether we're complaining, cheering, who knows, but we will be here regardless. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us at Let's Chat Reality on all social media, and we will be back to chat with you guys next week. So thank you guys, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.